Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome in. First intermission, Avs, Canadiens, and yeesh. Looks like things have continued a bit for the Avs after a disappointing result. Last night in Ottawa, they trail 3-1 to the Montreal Canadiens. Really, it got off to a bad start, and the Avs weren't ever able to really get things back on track. I thought the way they wanted to. Megan, I guess first and foremost, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know me, like the cold, gloomy weather makes me sleepy.
Yeah.
So like it's been a sleepy week, but no, I'm doing well. I'm doing better than how the Avs are playing. How about that?
I'll take it.
Real broad strokes thoughts, not just right now tonight, but the combination of what we're seeing right now versus a bad effort last night.
Yeah. Well, and I think in a 48-hour window, it doesn't feel good because the Avs did not play with enough energy, effort in the Ottawa game. And so the start of this game, 56 seconds in, it's a little hard to hold it too harshly against them. I think the overall first period compared to the overall first period of the Ottawa game, it's better in terms of effort, but the decisions with the puck, and there's still just a little bit of a lack of that battle instinct that I'm used to seeing in this team. But the thing that I pull it back, because I got a message from my friend, like, why are they flopping right now? They're in their flop era. They're on a losing streak. And they had this Toronto game to kick off this trip, and it was a really great effort. So that's why I'm not overly panicking. And I also still think there's a path to winning inside this game. But they're going to need to look in the mirror and find a little bit more motivation, because I get it's probably even harder to drum that up in the second leg of a back-to-back, but this just isn't Avalanche hockey the way that we know and love it. And I'm not buying any of the excuses, because I don't even think they themselves would say, like, no Devon Taves, no Gabriel Landeskog. I don't even think that they're considering those reasons to be putting this kind of effort forth.
And you know what I think it is, Megan, and again, people might not like this, might not agree with it, might not think it's okay. And I'm not even necessarily saying that it's, acceptable or whatever, but like, one, I want to start by saying this, like, this is terrible hockey. That last night was terrible hockey. I thought what we saw in the first period, outside of the one rush from Brock Nelson, which is a beautiful move. It's terrible hockey. It's just bad hockey. That's not how really any team in the NHL should play, let alone a Stanley Cup contender. That being said, Megan, what this looks like to me is, one, you're in the dog days of the NHL season. We hear that a lot with, baseball, or in the dog days of summer. Like, these are the dog days of the NHL season, January, February, where you've eclipsed that halfway mark. You still have a long way to go. You still have, at least from a time perspective, a ways to go before trade deadline. You're tired, your body's beat up, and now add in the fact that the majority of these guys, not all of them, but the majority of them, are staring down 3 weeks off. The Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives are calling your name. Cancun, you got your plane ticket already punched. Like, there's guys that are staring down real rest and recovery that they are in need of. And I think you're just at a point in the season where, for everybody, see the Dallas Stars, see the Minnesota Wild, see, a lot of the teams that came out of the gates really hot are going through these stretches right now. I think they're tired. I think they're beat up. I think they're looking forward to the break. I asked Jared Bednar and players a couple weeks ago of how do you avoid looking to that break and forgetting about what's in front of you? And they said, yeah, it's going to be a challenge. Guys are tired. Guys are ready for the break. The schedule has been crazy compact. And I think guys are tired, beat up, ready for a break.
Yeah, we saw a similar trend ahead of the Four Nations break last year, and a lot of it is that condensed schedule right up to it to account for that time off. And I think it's a similar issue here. And it's not necessarily an excuse. You still want to see them dig deep and play winning hockey, even when they're not feeling 100% their best. And I think these are all really good lessons because you pointed out they're staring down this break. And as we get closer and closer to it, it can be hard to stay present and motivated.
3 games after tonight between now and the break.
And 2 of their worst games of this recent stretch were ahead of a day off.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, maybe that's purely coincidence. Or maybe there is a little bit of that last day of school syndrome where you're just looking at your summer break plans and it's hard to sit at your desk and lock in. And
you have to get a good score on this final to get a good grade.
Or you're going to summer school,
right,
kids.
But summer vacation's right there.
You need to lock in. You'll enjoy the summer vacation when it comes. It will inevitably come. But you need to lock in and pass your test or you're going to summer school, Avalanche.
Or you're going to summer school. And look, even for the guys that aren't getting the go to on a tropical vacation break. Oh no, I got to go to Italy for 3 weeks and play at the Olympics. Like, and again, there's going to be probably some of these players that either don't progress far in the medal round or don't make a medal round. And they're going to have played 4 games across 3 weeks. Like, it's going to be a break for everybody. And like I said, I just think that to me is what it looks like. Is this looks like a team, a group of hockey players who are looking for that break and have lost their focus a bit. I'm not worried about this being like the wheels have come off the season.
Right.
They can't recover. This is who they are. No, I just think that they're, I just think that they're looking forward to a break. And I got distracted by a comment right there, and I'm gonna look something up real quick. So that I can adequately address it. But I just, real quick on this, Scott Wedgwood comes back in tonight. First game we've seen him play in about a week. I thought Mackenzie Blackwood was really good last night. I wasn't expecting him to be in net here tonight. Thoughts on Scott Wedgwood? I said at one point when it went to 3-0, you might want to pull him here. Your thoughts on Scott Wedgwood in that first period?
Yeah. I think that he is fine. Like, there's probably a couple or at least one that he wants back, but the Avs just weren't playing very well in front of him, to be quite honest with you. The coverage on the first goal against off the face-off draw was a missed assignment. Like, there were 2 players dedicated to one guy, leaving one player open, and it's right off the draw, so I think that there's just an overcommitment to grab the nearest guy, and that left somebody open. So it's like, okay, that's completely avoidable, and that doesn't really help Scott Wedgwood. And then the power play goal, not going to be too hard on a PK unit that's been, top ranked all year long, but I think that the net front coverage there could have been a little bit more aggressive, making that a little bit more difficult area to be in. And then the shorthanded goal. This one is the one that frustrates me the most. And it's not just that the power play isn't clicking. And this is going to bring me to a bigger point that is sort of in defense of Scott Wedgwood. But really what I'm getting at is this really isn't about Scott Wedgwood. This first period, the score, it has very little to do with Scott Wedgwood. The high danger chances are 4-0 after 1. 4 of those for Montreal. That's just not good enough. You're not creating enough offensively to provide goal support. Brock Nelson's playing some of his best hockey, so put that aside for a second. That's wonderful. But this shorthanded goal against, part of the issue is Makar securing the point and just kind of not being ready for this when the play is already breaking below the goal line because Netchis and Olofsson are not battling hard enough. And this isn't the first time where you've heard Jared Bednar use these words that they're just that instinct, that compete, they're just not battling hard enough. That's my issue with the first period. And it just takes it away then from Scott Wedgwood. It's kind of like that power play falling apart is why the offense isn't clicking. I think the top line is going through some struggles right now. They're not creating the way that they'd like to. So even going back to the Ottawa game line by line, I don't think the top six was effective, and they need to be. They're some of the best players in the NHL that are about to represent their countries in the Olympics. And so I think some of that is the last day of school syndrome stuff, saving their best for the Olympic break. Brock Nelson excluded from that. And so that's where I'm like, this really isn't about Scott Wedgwood, though I would like to see him settle down. That was not, his best period, but truly the play of the Avs in front of him was so uninspiring that's my greater issue. That's my greater takeaway.
Well, and like you said, I want to see Wedgwood settle down here. And it was that shorthanded goal where it's just like, oh my gosh, like he just looked a little all over the place. I want to circle back to the shorthanded goal in just a second. And it's clear this person's just in the chat trying to rile people up in the chat. But I just want to point this out because the Avs, I can't remember who the Eastern team was a couple weeks ago. That, really good game back and forth. And someone was like, oh, see, the East is that much better. The Avs actually aren't that good. This comment here, Avs having a rough time with the Eastern teams. LOL, they aren't that good that people make it seem. The Avs come into this game 17-5-3 against the Eastern Conference this season. So I don't know if they're actually struggling with Eastern Conference teams. Just want to put that out there. And they're above 500 versus Eastern Conference teams on the road. So they're not really. Not the point. Like I said, I think that person's in there trying to ruffle feathers. Just wanted to point it out because that's not the first time I've seen that sentiment portrayed. Shorthanded goal. For the third time, and I think the last 2 weeks, Cale Makar has gotten beat for a breakaway off of that exact same play. Pucks are getting dumped out. Shorthanded player is releasing from the defensive zone early and just, beating the Avs back, and it's leading to shorthanded chances against. The Avs lead the league in shorthanded goals against with 9. You've just got to be better everywhere. The details just have to be cleaner. I don't think guys aren't out there not trying, but the details are terrible right now. You just got to play better, smarter hockey than this.
Yeah, it's really self-inflicted.
Yep.
And teams are coming very opportunistic to play the Avs in recognizing the record that the Avs have had this year. And so it's not even to take away from what Montreal did in the first period, but that's where I go back to. There is a path to winning in this hockey game for the Colorado Avalanche. And they can't beat themselves, they can't continue to beat themselves. And so these issues of the self-inflicted mistakes or just a lack of that extra commitment and awareness. So this was the other bigger point is you've heard from all of the leaders in the room that when they're at their best, everybody is understanding their role. Right now, it just doesn't feel like they're playing with a lot of cohesion and understanding of, the individual roles and how those come together and support one another. It feels like very individualistic hockey. And that's why it's not working too. And that's what leads to mistakes like you see on the shorthanded goal or missed assignments, whether it be on the penalty kill or just immediately off the draw.
The first goal. Where's Marty Netchis going?
I'm frustrated too because I think,
Lehkonen doesn't get out to his guy.
No, and
Kale gets stuck in no man's land. Sorry.
I think Malinsky overcommitted to his guy. And this is where a conversation needed to happen because he had the best coverage of his guy, but he also maybe could have been the person to get back and defend.
There were like
Dawson.
Seriously 4 guys that I thought like, ooh, you could have made a way better decision there, or you could have communicated better.
Yes, because it didn't fall squarely on like Malinsky's shoulders here, right? It's like actually if they'd communicated with each other, I think Netchis was in a great spot to take away that lane from Babson, but he appeared what's the word I'm looking for? He second guessed himself is actually what it was.
Yeah.
And so he didn't trust himself enough and he didn't make a decisive decision. So that's the other thing that's like hurting them on the power play too, is they are not playing with a lot of confidence right now, which is silly because of who they are and what their record is as a team.
Right.
And I get not wanting to make mistakes, but they really do need to lock in.
Puck's about to drop on the second period, and here's where I'm going to leave it because actually it ties in perfectly with what you were just saying, Megan. It's comment in the chat. Can we leave Hackstall in Montreal? Dave Hackstall is not going to fix the power play. There's no coach that's going to come in, snap his fingers and fix the power play. The power play, like the rest of this game and the self-inflicted wounds Megan was just talking about, comes down to one thing: the players. The players are going to have to fix this. The players that are on that power play are going to have to go out and execute. Because if you look at what happened on the one power play they had in that first period, there's nothing a coach can do to fix execution. You just got to execute. Your details have to be sharper. And that's not just for the power play. That's all around everything that you were just talking about in the lead up to that. Puck is down on the second period. We're going to get out of here. We'll be right back here for the second intermission. And then right after the game, looking forward to seeing you guys for both. It's been a minute since we've done one of these.
Yeah.
Happy to be back in the studio. We'll talk to you guys after the second period. Avs down 3-1. Got to hold a climb out of here.